Memory is the diary that we all carry about with us. Oscar Wilde said that. Tap in with me today as I talk about what memories really do for us. Hello, hello, hello. You are listening to the Manifesto on Purpose show. I am your host, Kimbaley. I am here to help you elevate your consciousness. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for all of those that you share this with and those that you invite. And thank you for subscribing here and on the website at Kimbaley, KIMBALEY.com. And you know how I feel about you. The God in me loves the God in you. We all have memories. Some are good and some, well, not so good. Today, I'm going to talk about what your memories go on to become. But before we get into that, let's hear our Astro-Numerology forecast for today, courtesy of Astro-Numerologist LLoyd Strayhorn and the Star 8 mobile numerology app. It is Wednesday, June the 26th. The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Pisces. It's a 5 universal month, a 9 universal week, and a 4 universal day. As we go into the closing days of the month, today may appear to be somewhat strange, sudden, or even unexpected when events take place in a way when that's the last thing on your mind. At the same time, if you create a schedule that's flexible and adjustable rather than rigid, anything that may come from out of the blue won't throw you off your center. The signs, more than any other now, that has to be cool, calm, and collected are Aquariuses, Leos, Geminis, and those born on the 1st, 4th, 10th, 13th, 19th, 22nd, 28th, and the 31st of the month. They're likely to be at the top of the food chain. Once again, that is our numerology forecast courtesy of Astro-Numerologist LLoyd Strayhorn and the Star 8 mobile numerology app. The app is awesome. There's so many things that you can do with this app, including schedule things that are important to you by using the calendar that is on the app. That's just one of the features, but you don't have to take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. You can go to astar8.com. That's ASTAR, the number 8.com. You can get it at Google Play, or you can get it on the App Store, and you can go to Linktree/numbers and you. And while you're there, check out some of the other awesome offerings there on the Linktree site. Now, you don't want your year to be totally unexpected. In order to know what to expect during your year and be able to be guided throughout the year, knowing what your personal months are, what personal year you're in, you need your personal numerology forecast for the year. This is very helpful when you are trying to plan stuff. And also, it's important to get to know who you are a little bit better. In order to do that, everyone should have their numerology report. That is the personal report. You can also get to know those that you come in contact with on a frequent basis, the people that are in your space, by getting your compatibility report. And you can do all of these reports for your business so that you can take another step up on the business ladder. You can get all of these reports and so much more at Kimbaley, KIMBALEY.com. Just go to Numerology Reports. Now let's jump into the show. Yuck. I had to beg my mom to put a slice of that red circular food she was eating on my plate. She told me that I wouldn't like it, but that only made my taste buds water even more for the delicious looking new food. My mom had one goal and one goal only when it came to food in our family. Her goal was to find foods that her greedy children didn't like so much so that she could eat in peace. That's because we were always asking for her food, even though we had our own. It just looked so much better when mom was eating it. I was the child that usually challenged her. She couldn't find anything that I didn't like to eat. She tried okra. It became one of my favorite foods. She tried beans, and I devoured those. However, she won this food battle. The stuff she put on my plate that day was disgusting. I didn't know the name of it, but I knew what it looked like and vowed never to touch it again. Of course, I was tested again with this food in school. It was near Thanksgiving. We had a Thanksgiving style lunch. The smell of turkey and gravy filled the air and made my tummy growl. But when I got my lunch tray, I was shocked to see a round red food in the corner of my tray. Yuck! I skipped right past it. Just the sight of it reminded me of the day my mom put the food on my plate to try, and that was enough for me. I ate everything on that tray except that stuff. I began to see a pattern though. During Thanksgiving is when I would see the red circular stuff show up on my plate. Whenever I saw it, it took me back to my experience that I had with my mom and how nasty that stuff tasted. That memory turned my initial thought that the circular red food was nasty into a personal belief. There was no need for me to ever try it again because I believed that it was so nasty. That was in childhood, but what I discovered in adulthood about this belief blew my mind. Here's how it happened. During the holiday seasons, as an early adult, I stayed to myself. I didn't really observe the holidays, so I didn't see the need to visit others during that time, with the exception of 1 year. I had met a new friend who practically begged me to spend the holiday out of town with her and her family. I thought it would be a cool trip and decided that I should go for it. It was Thanksgiving, and I'm glad I did. Their huge family table was a beautiful, elaborate spread of foods of all kinds. You could get full just from the smells of the food alone. I was so ready to sit down at the table and enjoy the beautiful spread of food that was before me. I got all of the basics: the turkey, the dressing, the greens, and I can't forget about those candied yams. My plate was almost filled to the brim. My friend looked a little bit disappointed though when she saw my plate. I asked her, "What's wrong?" She said, "You mean to tell me you're not going to try my cranberry sauce?" I looked at a beautiful mold of this red stuff that had walnuts and some other things mixed into it. It looked delicious, but it also reminded me of that nasty red circular stuff that my mom had put on my plate so many years ago. I said kindly, "I don't eat that stuff." She said, "Well, why not?" I told her about my previous experience, but she convinced me to give it a try. And I'm glad I did. I was blown away. The dish was absolutely delicious. I went back for seconds. She said, "What you're loving so much is called cranberry sauce. A lot of people use cranberry sauce, but they use it right out of the can." She went on to tell me how they did it. She said they just shake it out of the can and they cut this stuff into circles. It was later that I found out that cranberry sauce wasn't even the food that my mom put on my plate that day. What my mom put on my plate for me to try was beets, almost the same color and almost the same shape as that cranberry sauce, but it was totally different. I discovered that for many years, that faulty belief that that circular red stuff was nasty, the belief based upon my childhood memory, had led me astray. What memories are leading you to faulty beliefs? Esther Hicks said, "A belief is a thought you keep thinking. These thoughts are memories. Whether you are conscious of it or not, the thoughts you focus on most becomes a belief. Memory is the thought you've held on to for so long that it moves into the subconscious mind in its own space. Madam Subconscious does this to make your life easier. Because you keep entertaining this thought, Madam Subconscious gives it space in your mind for easy recall when needed. What you may not have guessed is that it has at that point become a belief. You know what a belief is, right? It's when this thought has become so convincing to you that you just refuse to see things any other way. If your memory was about something positive that happened that formed positive beliefs, everything is smooth sailing. But what about that time that your parents told you about the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy? Those beliefs in your adulthood are not needed and are taking up prime real estate in your subconscious mind. Not only that, there's several other things that may be taking on prime real estate in your subconscious mind. And some of these beliefs may not even be relative to you. They may not even be real. Some of these beliefs may be faulty. The important thing to know about these beliefs that your memories create is that these beliefs go on to create a reality for you. Now that we know that your memories leads to belief, which leads to manifestation, I'm going to share with you one way to help you change those faulty beliefs into something more positive, something that you would like to manifest in your life. So, these beliefs that are formed through these memories that may have been around for a long time in your subconscious mind are no more than habits. It's something that you continue to do. You can also call this a pattern. One important thing to understand about a habit is that you can't break a habit. You can only replace it. So the key to better memories is to be able to go in and find those memories that are manifesting negativity into your life and change those habits. The technique that I'm going to share with you to do that today involves making those negative memories a cue, turning them into a trigger. that can stimulate another memory. So when you notice that this negative memory keeps coming up in your mind, the first thing that you should do is have a memory in place that you can replace that memory with. This can be simple or it can be a little more complex. The simple way of going about this is to just think about a happier memory. Think about something that makes you feel better. So, whenever that negative memory comes up in your mind, make that a trigger to start thinking about that happy memory to get that negative memory off your mind. Because keep in mind, when you're dealing with Madam's subconscious, she's going to prioritize what you focus on most. If you begin to start changing that negative pattern into a more positive pattern or a more positive memory, then you will be able to focus more on the positive memory. That's the simple way of doing it. And you can use something that has already happened before in your life, a moment that you're proud of, a moment that made you excited or happy or made you feel joy, or you can actually use creative visualization to create your own memory, the memory of you creating whatever you want into reality, and you can use that instead. Now, there's a more complex way of doing this. The complex way requires you to actually reframe that negative memory. When we talk about reframing, what we're really saying is changing it. The way that you can reframe a memory is, instead of letting the memory play out in its negative form, think of all of the ways that that memory could have played out positively for you. So, whenever that negative memory comes up, allow it to be a cue or a trigger for you to bring up the new memory that you've created from it. Allow me to give a demonstration from my experience with the beats. What I would do is simply change the story of the memory. So before, all I thought about when I saw the red circular stuff on my plate was how my mom gave me the red circular stuff as a child that was nasty and disgusting to me. In order to reframe that, every time that negative memory comes up, I would play another scenario for that experience. Instead of me playing the scenario when I actually tasted the beets, I could play a scenario where I'm imagining that that was not beets that my mom put on my plate. It was cranberry sauce and it was actually delicious. That way, I've changed the memory. And once I do that in repetition, it changes the belief about the red circular stuff that was on my plate. So instead of me thinking that it was disgusting, I would be thinking about how tasty it was to me when I tried it. You can do this with anything. And it's so amazing the power of the mind and how you can change the way you view the world. That's what it's all about, changing your perspective of what has happened and the experience that you have had, so that you can create a memory that is more positive to you, and it will create a better belief for you, which will lead you to manifesting a better reality for yourself, the reality that you want to create. Now, let me just tell you this: I still do not like beets. However, I love cranberry sauce. And it's so unfortunate that I went so many years without even giving it a try, because I had a faulty belief that told me it was nasty, even though I did not even try it. Your memory can play tricks on you sometimes. Be careful on how you dwell on the past because your memories create beliefs. It's up to you what type of beliefs that you are creating. And trust me, you want to know what type of beliefs you're creating because those beliefs go on to create your reality. Memory is the diary that we all carry about with us. What secrets is your diary called memory carrying about you? I love you to life. This is how you manifest on purpose.